We're talking about the Niger Delta Development Commission, the NDDC. Now, this agency is not new in the country. It was established in 2000 by former President Olusegun Obasanjo. And the mandate was simple: develop the oil-rich Niger Delta region. But the big question is, has the Niger Delta region developed as it ought to? Well, here's what President Muhammadu Buhari had to say about that. In October, the president in a tweet called for a forensic audit of the NDDC, saying that with the billions set to be spent on the region, there's little to show for it. There's also other issues which have come up, like the composition of the board, which was announced by the president and the interim committee. And not forgetting the discovery that was recently made. So let's discuss this matter further. And I'm being joined by Mr. Cairo Ojougbo. He's the executive, he's a national, well, he's actually a member of the NDDC. Pardon me, I got my scripts modeled up then. But thank you so much, Mr. Cairo Ojougbo. Thank you for joining us on the program tonight. All right, so just to be clear, Mr. Cairo Ojougbo is the Executive Director, Project NDDC Interim Steering Committee. Now, I'd like to begin with that discovery that was made. I mean, it made the news and a lot of people were shocked, thinking $35 million. I mean, that does not align with abandonment. So if you can tell us, how was that discovery made and what is being done right now?
First of all, permit me to make a general statement, Kayode. You know, I might not have the opportunity to return to this platform, at least might be until the new year. And I would like to congratulate the channels for winning the channels television, the television of the year, for the 13th consecutive times. And I also want to seize this opportunity to thank Mr. President for giving the IMC the opportunity to prove a point. Also, my thank goes very immensely to the Minister of Niger Delta, His Excellency Senator Godswill Akpabio, who is a great son of the South-South and a leading light coming from the South-South. The issue about the abandoned project, the project, it is the Ecotech.
Mr. Ojougbo, if I can butt in right now.
Transmission lines.
Just one moment, if I may butt in right now. In our Lagos studio, just joining us is Mr. Joseph Eva, is the National Coordinator, Ijo Monitoring Group. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Well done. Thank you.
So let's return to Mr. Ojougbo, just to tell us about that $34 million discovery that is said to have been made. Nigerians would like to know what probe is being done and what action will be carried out when the probe is finished.
Yes. You know, the IMC is preparing for the forensic audit. And in making preparation for the forensic audit, we are looking at the books of the NDDC from inception to date. We're also matching what we see in the books with what is on the ground, so that we can be able to assist the auditors when they come in. The issue of the Ecotech substation and transmission line, which is meant to serve the whole of a senatorial district. The project was to consist of the transmission line and the substation. So the NDDC entered into a contract with a contractor. The contractor was employed to purchase and supply this equipment. The contractor obliged and then imported the equipment and then got the equipment into the port. The bill of lading was sent from the central bank to the office of one of the managing directors of the NDDC.
Right.
For one reason or the other, for about 1 year, they couldn't find the paper. The contractor made series of efforts to get the bill of lading, and then he had to restart the process. So since 2017, the equipment has been lying down there. In fact, a major part of the components of the equipment have been lying down in the port.
Right.
So when we're in the process of looking at the books and what is going on, what has gone on in the past and the finances of NDDC, we discovered that a major component of the substation and transmission line is still in the port. So we went to look at it.
All right,
and
Mr. Ojougbo.
Behold, it was all there. I mean,
let's bring in Mr. Eva right now just to get his perspective. Now, I know you've been following this story, the discovery that was made, but I'd like to take you back. Now, this is something that was discovered, said to be discovered by the IMC, that's the Interim Monitoring Committee. But I know that you've had some issues with this Interim Monitoring Committee. So if this IMC can make discoveries such as this, why would you think there's perhaps no need for it?
Well, in the beginning, we know the reason why Niger Delta is backward. Whenever even they give us something, like what the oil companies are doing, we have this crisis, divide and rule problem. And the internal crisis will now delay the progress. For example, the president set up a board. After this president set up a board, then the minister of Niger Delta come up with an interim. I know some people, we cannot just fold our hand and say, what is happening? Because in this country, people felt that it is only Yorubas that are deep thinkers. We are also deep thinkers from the South. The moment we see some certain things that are not proper, we have to challenge and say, why? Because we know that the minister of Niger Delta, the ministry has no money. The ministry is dead. So when they announced Akpabio as minister, we clap our hand because we want Akpabio to go and work.
Mr. Eva, saying a ministry is dead is perhaps, extreme.
No, the minister himself went to the National Assembly and cried to the National Assembly that money for 2015 was not released. The minister, Niger Delta, went to the to the National Assembly to beg the National Assembly to release money to the Niger Delta ministry. We know that nothing is happening in the Niger Delta ministry. So since Akpabio is going there, we're happy. So for Akpabio to now come into NDDC matter, because we all know that billions and billions and billions are in NDDC, and there is no money in Niger Delta ministry. So if you abandon Niger Delta ministry and now focus on NDDC Wahala, then we are gone.
But
the ministry will be. So we now say that Niger Delta minister, go and pursue your Niger Delta matter so that we can get money from that ministry. Let the NDDC also work on its own now that there is a board.
But don't you think they should work in unison, especially because
that is what that is what we want.
Let's go back to what the president said, saying a lot has been spent with very little to show for it. The
in
president
fact,
ordered
for the president when he set up, said NDDC will be probed.
Exactly.
Because
now,
those who are problem to NDDC, we want them to line them up.
So they're saying that the idea, according to what is being reported, is that this IMC is meant to hold sway pending the time the forensic audit is completed, and then perhaps the board now kicks into play. Don't you think that's a good formation?
No, you as a journalist, you read everything. You see the crisis. Some people are in support of the board. Some people are in support of MIC or NIC.
The IMC.
Yes, even the National Assembly asked the minister to go back. The National Assembly that unless we inaugurate the board, it become a law when the National Assembly now passed voted for the inauguration of the board. And without the board working, which group are you bringing? These confusions, the oil companies have been doing and manipulating the Niger Delta over the years. So the moment we find out...
Once again, Mr. Eva, those are major allegations. But I'd like us to go to Mr. Ojougbo just to get a sense of, his perspective. Now, you've listened to Mr. Eva saying that this is causing confusion. Is that what it looks like from where you sit?
No. Thank you very much. Let me tell my very good friend Eva. Eva knows that me, Dr. Cairo Ojougbo, I can never be manipulated. He knows nobody can manipulate me.
I know him.
Eva also knows. Eva also knows that the way things are going. You see, those who are against the Interim Management Committee are people who have done contracts there or are being owed fictitious monies, people who have found their way of living from the proceeds of the Niger Delta Development Commission, and they know that they want the corrupt system to continue. Having the Interim Management Committee there will not allow such things to continue, because we will abide and walk by the ways prescribed by the President of Nigeria and the Minister of Niger Delta Commission. Eva knows me very well. We have worked a lot. We have been in various meetings. We've been in various committees, and he knows my person. That he can even stand up and then argue against me, I find it most ridiculous. If he sees my name somewhere, he should know that I carry the blood and the mark of Niger Delta on my head, and that I will not go out of my way And I will not do anything to disenfranchise the people of the Niger Delta. And anybody who is arguing against the interim management committee has a personal interest. And the simple thing that the president has asked us to do is this. Go ye, be the John the Baptist of the forensic audit. Keep the place moving well. Make sure that you stop the way that things were being done before. Like by now, you would have seen contracts flying all over the world.
Okay.
Water hyacinth, everybody water hyacinth. No.
All right. Mr. Ojougbo, let's find out if Mr. Eva now perhaps sees things from your perspective. So, I mean, listening to his explanation, some of the issues he has raised, the clarifications he has made from his angle, are you satisfied?
No, you see, the presidency, the confusion came from the angle of the presidency and the minister. It's just like somebody was saying here that the minister, the media man of the president will say something. Lai Mohammed will say, are we not in? So no, let us be sincere.
How do you think we can resolve this confusion?
When the president is sending names to the Senate for clearance, then somebody among the names did not go for clearance. The person was now automatically made chairman of the this very interim board. So we felt that with this type of confusion, it will not delay even the probing.
So, Mr.
You know that some people are in court over the thing.
Mr. Eva, just on a final note,
yeah.
How do you prescribe that this perceived confusion be solved? If you can do that in 30 seconds, that'd be great.
We want to, because we don't want crisis in the Niger Delta to delay our development. If the president is now saying that immediately this the pro panel concludes its report, the board will be inaugurated based on the law. There is no problem.
Okay.
We have faith in the names, like in Cairo, Mr. Cairo is somebody we have worked in so many things. But the way the dramas that appear in order for these two bodies to be clashing and fighting, and there is court action and all that, we are now saying that where is the board?
Okay, let's get Mr. Ojougbo's closing statements before we go.
Let me thank you again and thank Mr. President, thank the Minister of Niger Delta, and thank the entire people of Niger Delta for giving us this opportunity to write things. There is no confusion whatsoever in any way. There is no confusion in any way. The President has taken a decision. The Minister of Niger Delta has implemented the decision of Mr. President.
Right.
And the NDDC board the NDDC Interim Management Committee is working perfectly.
Okay.
And
Mr. Cairo Ojougbo,
we shall not. Yes.
I understand, but we really have to go.
And I promise Nigerians, I promise the people of Niger Delta, we shall not cheat. We shall not steal.
Okay,
we shall
that's a great place to leave it, Mr. Ojougbo.
And we will deliver.
We'd like to thank you so much. Mr. Cairo Ojougbo is the Executive Director Project, the NDDC Interim Monitoring Committee. And from our Lagos studio, Mr. Joseph Eva is a National Coordinator, IJA Monitoring Group. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us tonight on the program. Yeah. So that's our package tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. But you can visit our YouTube page to see our content. It's at Channels Television. Please subscribe. I am Cairo Kikilu. Have a great week ahead.